everyone, this is OCD Live. I'm Ali Grayman, and let's get to some questions. So the first question I have is a person was saying that it seems like I am saying that the sufferer chooses to think about the thoughts, but the sufferer really doesn't choose the thoughts are coming to them. And to explain that a little bit further, and it's a much longer paragraph, but I'm kind of cutting it down. So basically, whenever you get an OCD thought, right? The thought of, say for example, let's take as an example driving OCD. Person's driving, everything is fine, then all of a sudden they get a thought of, oh my god, what if I hit somebody? A lot of anxiety is coming with that thought within seconds, right? All of that is coming to you. You are not choosing that. That is happening because driving is your OCD topic and your brain is getting triggered by it. So every time you're driving, it's on the lookout for what if, and it's always sending you those thoughts, So that's not coming from you. Like, you're not causing that. But after that thought, what happens? Then you say, oh, yeah, that really did happen. Oh my God, I have to go back. I have to try to figure it out. That's all you. So it's exposure and response prevention, right? That's what we're doing to recover. So exposure means you're exposing yourself to the situation of driving, which is a normal everyday situation. But when you get an OCD thought, you prevent the response of fear, right? Or you can apply it to whatever kind of OCD you have. Say for contamination OCD, not avoiding things because you're going to get triggered, right? So the trigger is actually not a bad thing because it gives you a chance to show to your mind that this situation is actually not dangerous. There's nothing abnormal about it. It should stop sending you anxiety. And when you refuse your reaction of fear, what happens is that the next time your mind will send you less anxiety about this topic, and then less and then less and then less until it fully goes away, So it's repetition. But if you're exposing yourself, say for example, you're driving every day to work, and every day when you drive to work you get triggers, and every day you react with fear, you're actually making yourself worse because you're telling your mind every time that the situation is important, the situation is dangerous, I'm going to go back and check, I'm going to figure it out, and you're driving yourself deeper in. So just because you're doing exposures does not mean you are in the process of recovery. The response is the most critical part. So the exposure happened, yes, but now what was the response? Was the response of fear, of reassurance, of avoidance? All of this sends the signal to your mind that you are afraid of this situation, and your mind says, well, since you're afraid of this situation, I better send you more of this to warn you about it because it means it's dangerous if you're afraid of it, right? Because that's how it would work if you didn't have OCD, right? Like in real world, we get scared about things, right? And your mind tries to protect you. The mind is not wired to understand OCD. It can't by itself differentiate real thoughts from OCD thoughts, So whatever you react to, it doesn't matter how silly it is, it doesn't matter how fake it is, it will still take it as real if you send that signal of fear. So it's important for you to refuse to send the signal of fear. And, it is scary to take that leap of faith and say, I'm not going to pay attention. I am going to disregard because I know, like as somebody who had OCD, like I understand that it is very scary, but I'm telling you, not in all my years of helping people recover from OCD, not once has even one scenario came true for anybody I've helped. Not once where a person took a leap of faith and it turned out to be true. Doesn't happen. Never happened. So it's not actually that you're taking a chance. It just feels like you're taking a chance. You just have to be brave, you have to be strong, and you have to refuse. So the next question the person is asking about fear of getting incurable disease. And this is the thing is, the more you pay attention to these topics, right, the worse they will feel. It doesn't matter if it's about driving, incurable disease, if it's about religious OCD, if it's about, it doesn't matter the topic. What matters is you're getting a thought, you're paying attention to it, you're analyzing, you're researching. This creates more fear, and then your mind interprets your fear to mean that the situation is important and sends you more thoughts. So it doesn't know to separate the reality from OCD. Your mind is only looking to you to do that. So when you're reacting to something false as if it's true, it takes it to mean that it's true. So you have to make sure that you are disregarding, no matter how real it feels, because that's the thing, is it will always feel real. You will always want to check. You will always want more information. In case of incurable disease stuff, right, that you might want to go to the doctor or find stuff out online or doing some sort of research. All of this will get you deeper in. So if you're doing any of those things, you have to stop doing them, because at this point you don't need to do anymore. I'm sure you've already done enough, right? So you don't need to do anything else. All you need to do is stop paying attention to it. You will start to feel better. But you have to do the work. I mean, it's not going to happen unless you do the work. Unfortunately, I've gone through OCD myself, so I can tell you firsthand that, in order to feel better, it actually works very fast, in terms of how bad people feel versus how fast they recover. It works pretty quick. But it only works when the person is putting 100% effort and is working on their recovery. So every time you get a thought of what if I have this or what if I have that, right? It's an opportunity for you to disregard and progress in your recovery. But if you're getting, just like we talked about in the last questions, right? If you're getting that exposure of fear and you're multiplying that fear by saying, yeah, oh my God, I feel like it's so real. This must be true, all this stuff, right? If you're saying that to your mind, you're actually making yourself worse, and you have to stop doing that to get out of this thing. To get out of OCD, you have to stop paying attention and reacting to it as if it's real. So next question, I'm not going to go into the details because I don't want to trigger other people. But the person's asking about harm OCD and having an opinionated OCD that's very creative. The person knows what I'm talking about. And is it really common to have those kinds of thoughts? And yes, it is very common. There's nothing real here. It's just another way that harm OCD is trying to get to you. So by asking those questions, by being opinionated like that, it's just another way to try to make it feel as if it's real, so you get to to prompt you to react with anxiety. So it's just another one of those things where your brain is trying to get you to react. So the more that you pay attention, the more those thoughts are going to get. It's almost a similar thought of people get thoughts about suicide, that the more they worry, what if I have thoughts about suicide, the more they have the thoughts about suicide. It's like a similar thing. So it's just disregarding. That's all it is. No matter what kind of OCD thoughts you have, if you're not disregarding, you're gonna feel worse. If you are disregarding, you're gonna start to feel better. Okay, so the next question I have, hello Ali, I have some questions and I would be grateful if you could answer them, please, of course. So recovery means our anxiety will get lower, but not necessarily that the thoughts will go away, or does it go hand in hand? And what is the best thing to do when it's not the intrusive thoughts that causes the most discontent anymore, but our active doubt that we may actually want to act on these thoughts? It's just another way OCD is coming as a doubt. As long as it's coming as a doubt, as long as it's giving you anxiety, it doesn't really matter how it's coming in. You have to disregard the anxiety and the whole about the whole subject as a total thing, not getting into, is it this thought or is it that thought? Is it coming in like this or is it coming in like that? Because it can always switch that. The thought itself doesn't matter, the what it's coming up as, how it's worded, all of this doesn't matter. What matters is the anxiety that has to do with this topic and your reaction to this, which creates more anxiety about this same topic. In terms of the anxiety going lower, but not necessarily that the thoughts go away, or does it go hand in hand? Yeah, it does go hand in hand. So as your anxiety goes down, the thoughts will go away because there's nothing else for these thoughts to hang on to. They don't have a real backbone. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing powering them up other than your anxiety. So the anxiety goes away and the thought disappears on its own because there's nothing holding it there. So, but again, in terms of what you were asking about, having a doubt that what if you may actually want to act on these thoughts, and trying to figure that out. Again, you're going back to the same thing, trying to figure out if it's true or not, trying to solve the thought. Well, do I feel like it, or do I not feel like it? Let me figure it out. Let me go back to it. All of this brings more fear, and all of this keeps these thoughts going. Say, I don't care. I'm not figuring it out. I don't care. I'm not paying attention to it. And be very, very strong in it. You need to come from a position of power. If you're coming from a position of weakness, this is what's going to make your OCD worse. Always coming from a position of power and saying, I don't care. You can send me the worst possible thought. I don't care. I'm not paying attention to this any longer. I'm not giving my life for this any longer. Because that's what OCD does. Little by little, it basically takes your whole life over, So it's like, how long are you going to let it? So you're stopping it now. You're saying, I don't care. You can't scare me anymore. All these thoughts are false. If I wanted to act on it, I would have already done so. So if I haven't until now, I'm not gonna. And I'm not going to pay attention to any more of this. So being like, you can see how I'm talking like right now, right? Coming from a strong position of power, not letting it stay by showing fear. So next question I have is this applicable to HOCD? And this is applicable, like what I'm talking about on my shows, this is applicable to any type of OCD. It's not specific to any type of OCD. It will work for all of them. So next question is, hi Ali, I'm having more moments of peace, but the thoughts are coming more and more. I feel like giving up. I'm also looking at all the bad things people have done to me. This is another thing here, okay? You have to make sure that you're being as positive as possible. And I know when you are in the middle of OCD, you don't really feel like being positive, but you have to maintain that positivity, because that again shows your mind that you are not in danger, that there's nothing wrong, that you're not in danger, you're positive, you're happy. Even if you have to fake it, but don't sink into the despair, into the depression. And if you're getting those thoughts, try to replace them with happy thoughts, So it's instead, like, you're starting to remember all the negative things people have done to you. Try to switch your mind to think to the positive things. It won't work all the time, but even you making the attempt will help, rather than sinking into it and saying, oh yeah, well, this is, like getting deeper into it. Try to switch it to something positive, because that's what you want to do. Is you need to always show your mind that there's nothing wrong. So, but the thoughts coming in more and more, it's just your mind. If you are overall having a lot of moments of clarity when you're not getting OCD, but at the same time the amount of thoughts is increasing, it just means that your mind is still fighting you and is trying to keep that condition of OCD. Because your mind actually, believe it or not, your mind likes the condition of OCD because it's safety, right? It means to your mind, it shows that there's danger, but it's also being taken care of because you are actively getting reassurance, you're solving it, you're doing all these things. So that means you're dealing with it. So the mind actually likes when you are anxious and you're trying to figure out OCD, but it's not productive for you, because your mind doesn't understand that it's a false thing, right? So you just have to keep fighting, but really try to switch yourself to a more positive perspective, because this is what happens to everybody who recovers. The mind fights for a little while, but then it will let go. You have to get to the next step. And I have a feeling based on your comments that you are almost there, but you just need to go a little bit further. Don't give up. Don't get frustrated. And people do get frustrated when they reach this level, because you can see the light, you're almost there, but you're not there. It's very frustrating. You have to keep going until you get there, So next question, I'm actually not sure if I answered it in the last video, but I'm going to answer it again in case I did miss it, because it is an important point to bring up. So there's 3 questions here. So the first one is about generalized anxiety. And can I give some advice just for general anxiety? And I am starting a separate channel for anxiety that's not related to OCD, but because people who do have OCD also have higher anxiety in the rest of their lives as well, and I think it's an important point to address. But basically, you do have to treat it kind of like OCD, where you are refusing to pay active attention to these thoughts, even if they are like thoughts that are based in reality, like real fears, such as like worries about money or like tangible things. But it's still not going overboard. And if nobody else would react over the top like you're reacting, then you shouldn't be reacting this way either. So kind of going with how the crowd would react about the same situation. Second question is, how come I sometimes I start my day feeling good, but then the thoughts start to get to me? So with that, sometimes when you start your day, you're very determined and you are, you're going to disregard, you're going through it, you're doing good. But then as things happen throughout the day, as you get sidetracked with just daily life, you start to fall into OCD slowly. And then by the end of the day, you can really fall into it. So it's always important to keep yourself in check and always remind yourself that no matter what's happening in the rest of your day, if it's stressful, because stress does bring on more OCD. So if you have stress, always putting in perspective that your recovery comes first. And if you're doing too much, taking a step back so you are allowing yourself to relax and time to mentally relax, not necessarily even physically, but just mentally allowing yourself to have time and space to relax. And then the last question, is it possible to take an antidepressant to help with the recovery from severe anxiety and OCD, but eventually successfully wean off of the medicine and still be in recovery? Yes, it is possible to wean off the medicine and continue the recovery, but I don't think that it's possible to recover just by taking medicine. So you do have to do the work. And if you feel like you're doing the work, but you're trying to do the work, but you're not getting anywhere, then again, I'm not a doctor, but it does help to have kind of like, it's like a crutch, right? But you can't rely on it as your sole source of recovery. So it's a temporary crutch. Yes, you can use it, but your 99% of your work has to be with what you're doing with ERP, exposure and response prevention, disregarding the thoughts, showing your mind what the correct way of thinking is. And then the medication will just help you through that process, help you through the painful part. But to be honest with you, like I've talked to so many, as you guys know, like I've been doing this for years, and I can tell you that I don't really, like what my clients tell me is that it's not really helping that much. So they don't, most of the time they either see a very small difference or no difference at all between taking medication and not taking medication. So, if you're not taking medication and you're thinking of taking it, I wouldn't put a lot of stock in it, thinking that it's going to be like your savior, you're going to be so much better once you start taking medication, because it simply doesn't happen. You need to do the work. So next question, I'm not really sure if I'm understanding it correctly, but problems with obsessions about embarrassing issues. And really, it doesn't matter what the obsession is about. It's still, seeing it for what it is. It's only OCD. I'm going to disregard it. I don't care what it says. I don't care how much anxiety it gives me. I don't care how embarrassing the topic is. I'm still disregarding. That should be your outlook every single day. And when you're saying this, try as much as possible to come from a position of power. So you're showing your mind that, yes, I am strong. Yes, I'm going to disregard. It's coming with fear. It feels very real, but I'm still going to be strong and I'm still going to disregard, So the next question is the person saying that the person feels good disregarding for a while, but then they get a thought of just wake up kind of to reality, and I feel like this person says, I feel like I'm just pretending that everything is okay if I let the thoughts go. But like basically saying, I'm letting them go, but I'm pretending that everything is okay, but really it's not, like those kinds of thoughts. And with that, again, this is just another way of having OCD trying to get to you. Just like I answered in a few questions ago about the person saying, well, what if I actually want to act on these thoughts? What if I act on these thoughts? All of these things, this is the same thing as that, that what if I'm pretending that everything is okay? What if one day it comes true? What if, right? We're disregarding all of it. It can come to you in any way possible, but you are still going to disregard. And once you start to disregard, these thoughts will go away, the anxiety will go away, because there's nothing else holding it there except for your fear. So you take the fear away and they're gone. Not right away. It will take some time. It will take repetition, but they will be gone once you take the fear away. They will start to go away. I'm also getting a lot of questions about people saying, is this OCD? Is that OCD? So I kind of wanted to take a moment and address them kind of all as one. Basically, if you are trying to figure out, do I have OCD? Is this an OCD thought? This automatically means that this is an OCD thought and that yes, you do have OCD, because otherwise you wouldn't be even thinking about it in that way. You wouldn't even be trying to figure out if it's OCD. It's like if something, for example, think of like a real situation, like something bad happened in your life. It's not like you're like, oh, maybe it was OCD. It doesn't happen that way. So if you are even having a doubt that it's OCD, even if it even came into your mind that it's OCD, that automatically means that it is OCD. But the more you try to solve it, the more real that question will feel that, well, what if it's not? Well, I have to figure it out. I have to make sure. So you have to get out of that loop. And again, disregarding. The thought comes in, what if it's not OCD? What if it's different? What if, like sometimes, I get questions like, you said something and it was different than what I thought you would say or something like that. Again, disregarding all of this. This is just another way OCD is trying to get to you. Don't let it get to you like that, because the more you allow it to get into your mind and scare you, the more it will scare you. So it's saying no and sticking with no, no matter what it says, no matter how it comes to me, I'm not going to pay attention. And I've done 2 videos, which is a morning affirmation and an evening affirmation, and they're just putting you in that zone, in that mindset of, oh, this is OCD thoughts, I'm going to disregard them. So you are staying strong and disregarding the thoughts. So if you are having trouble, I would suggest listening to those videos. They're really short, but they help you get into that perspective of, this is only OCD and I'm not paying attention, rather than taking it as something that means something, because it really doesn't. So I hope you guys enjoyed the show. As always, you can leave questions for the next show. I was supposed to actually publish this on Wednesday, but I'm publishing it on Friday. But next Wednesday, the show will be as regular. So please leave your questions below this video, below any of my other videos, and I will respond on the next show. As always, if you need more information, please check out youhaveocd.com. There's a lot of information on there's ebooks, there's private recovery program, which is one-on-one with me, available there as well. If you have questions, don't be afraid to leave them below. I'm not going to say your name, I'm not going to say anything, but leave them below this video and I will answer them on Wednesday's show next week. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.